On this edition of Gameball NFL Endzone, we're going to start by talking about Antonio Brown and his situation. With that being said, should the New England Patriots cut ties with the wide receiver? Also, in the second segment, the teams that are 0-2 on the season, which of these three teams between the Carolina Panthers, the Denver Broncos, and the Jacksonville Jaguars can still turn around their season and make the playoffs? Also, is it over for the Pittsburgh Steelers and their hopes of this season after quarterback Ben Roethlisberger suffered a season-ending injury? And plus, as always, we will bring you the top 4 matchups to look out for in Week 3 of the NFL season. Stick around. Gameball NFL Endzone begins now. What's happening, everyone? Welcome to Gameball NFL Endzone, where the football season never ends. I'm Marcus Young, Genius Jenkins.
It's your boy, Mike O'Reilly.
And, of course, we're going to hold it down once again for our brothers. So, shout out to Luke Harden once again. We're going to hold you down. And before we start the segment, we would also like to sincerely apologize that we did not release last week's episode, of course. And that was due to the breaking news of the whole Antonio Brown situation, and we actually talked about, whether the marriage between him and the New England Patriots will work out. And of course, that caught everybody by surprise with the recent allegations and things going on with him off the field. So once again, we do apologize about that. However, starting off this episode, we kind of tie that together, and we'll talk about the whole Antonio Brown situation. And that is, with everything surrounding Antonio Brown, should the New England Patriots actually cut ties with Antonio Brown? Honestly, Mike, it just depends on how you look at it, because unfortunately, this isn't the first time, and unfortunately, this isn't going to be the last time that we hear about something like this. I mean, we can take into account a lot of times to where I think as of right now, the New England Patriots are kind of going with the due diligence of the fact that it's a civil suit. I really think that that's what they're going off of. I think if it was a criminal case and he was potentially facing time in prison, I don't think there's a doubt about it that he would be gone and he would be dust in the wind, and they would act like that man never put on a uniform. And I think because of that, he was allowed to play in the 40-0 win over the Miami Dolphins. I think because it's more of a civil matter, and of course, those who don't know what a civil matter is, it's when someone is seeking damages and they feel like they deserve some type of financial compensation for whatever the incident is. Do we know if it's true? Do we know if it's not? That's something that we don't know. People look into things as far as car accidents and things of that nature. I'm not saying that's just in the same category, but I think that's the reason why, and I think they're also potentially playing this by ear, because this is obviously something that didn't happen last week. Obviously, this is something that has been going on behind the scenes going into last season. And Antonio Brown actually declined, which would have been a $2 million settlement with him and the accuser, and that is one Brittany Taylor. Apparently, they have personal ties because I believe that was his personal trainer for some time. It's sensitive, and we can go into, this is not the first time to where things like this happen, and because it was a civil suit, professional athletes, we've even seen it in the NBA. This situation even kind of reminded me of Derrick Rose back when he played for the New York Knicks. He had a civil matter similar to this, and it wasn't any criminal charges that were brought out. It was more of a civil case. I think because of that, and I think it also depends on how this trial or how it plans out, because of the fact that Antonio Brown decided to decline the settlement out of court. So now they are going to take this to court, but I believe it's still on the civil side of the thing. To be honest with you, I think that they're going to play it by ear. I think if he loses this, I think he'll potentially get cut, maybe. I think I can see that happening. But because of the fact that he declined the settlement, he's telling everyone that I did no wrong. And I think they're going based off of that. Because I think that's kind of how the Kansas City Chiefs treated the Kareem Hunt situation. He had a chance to prove his innocence. Okay, we're going to give you the due diligence. But if something else comes out that, yes, Antonio Brown did do something, I think they'll cut ties. So I think they're kind of in a situation to where they don't have a choice. They do and they don't, because okay, they're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay, you're coming out saying that Drew Rosenhaus put his name on the line. He went on ESPN, and he's 100% confident that he's innocent, and the fact that Antonio Brown has a daughter, and besides the fact that Drew Rosenhaus is also representing him, and he has a daughter, and we know how sensitive of a situation this is. To be honest with you, it's hard for me to really come out and say if I was the New England Patriots, what I would and what I wouldn't do. To be 100% honest with you, if I was the owner of the Patriots, I would at least hold him out, because it's more than, technically because it's a civil matter and he's choosing his innocence, I would at least allow him time off to handle what he needs to handle, and then you come back on the field without that distraction lingering over you and the organization. Maybe that's just me as an owner. I don't know if I would cut ties with him, just because, I would give him the benefit of the doubt. If you're telling me to my face, hey, look, I didn't do anything, this is false, okay, I'm gonna ride with that until, but what I would actually do maybe is, I'm gonna let this play out. I'll allow you to practice with the team and things of that nature, but I think that you really should maybe have that time off to handle whatever you got to handle first. And then once all that's cleared, then you can come back and jump on the field and play in the game.
You make extremely good points. This is a very serious and sensitive matter. And I'm one of those types that goes by the old book of rule. You're innocent till proven guilty.
Right.
So we have to give that a fair. We have to be fair and give that fairness. Antonio Brown, he could be distraction, team killer, this and that. But is he a rapist and this and this and that?
Strong word.
So we don't know how this is going to play out, and the Patriots, they're going to play it by ear, and he hasn't been put on the commissioner exempt list, so they're going to continue to play him and play it by ear as long as they can. Then you got another lawsuit against him today, another incident that as Sports Illustrated came out with, and this and that. So, and everybody just coming out with incidents before that with the chef in the restaurant and the doctor and this and that.
Now, I don't mean to cut you off, Mike. For those who don't know what's going on, are those similar allegations?
There's another sexual assault allegation. Then you have two other allegations that are separate from the sexual assault, with him not paying the chef and him with the doctor incident. We don't know if that's true or not, but we always want to give people benefit of doubt, and we got to go by the rule of book, the book of rule, wherever you want to call it. You're innocent until proven guilty. And if he's not found guilty, then okay, we can all move on and this and that, all these charges. But if he's found guilty of it, then the New England Patriots is going to cut ties with him, because it was reported that the Oakland Raiders and the Patriots did not know anything about it. So you have to consider that in the matter. With the Antonio Brown situation. And this is tough, and this is a tough challenge for Bill Belichick to deal with, as well as the players, because they never dealt with something like this. They dealt with off the field issues like little silly stuff here and there, and on the field issues like the
Aaron Hernandez situation.
Well, yeah, the Aaron Hernandez situation. Thank you for bringing that up. And they didn't know about that either.
Yeah.
So I was talking about this silly stuff like nonsense off the field and this intoxication, bar fights, wherever, this and this and that. Then you got on the field drama and all this other stuff. Teams calling you cancer, this and this and that. That's one thing they can handle, but this is big, and we don't know how this is going to play out. And I'm gonna give Antonio Brown the benefit of the doubt until he's proven guilty. Now, I'm not in the law and business and all that, but if I were to judge in this matter, I would have both of them take a lie detector test right there on the spot to be fair and to see who's lying and who's telling the truth. Then you can find out who's innocent and guilty.
Would you also give them the benefit of the doubt, because once again, this isn't the first time, and I'm not taking sides, I don't know, but usually with professional athletes being around, and their statures, things like this come out to where, we even had an instance with Kobe Bryant. Remember that? When he was with the Lakers, when he was still number 8, before he switched to 24, being accused of rape and civil matters and things of that nature. I don't know. It's just hard to touch on, because it's like, for any female that's had to deal with that, your heart goes out and you pray for them. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. This really isn't something that is really helping all the antics that you had with the Oakland Raiders already, and then all these things are coming out. In a way, you kind of want to think that, okay, that allegation, okay, with Brittany Taylor, then all of a sudden you got all these other things that are coming out of nowhere, almost like, okay, well, she's suing him. Well, I want to cut too. I want to hop on this, and I want to try to sue him for something. Because at the end of the day, it's not criminal charges that are coming out. They're all civil. At the end of the day, to where everybody's trying to go get a little cut off of Antonio Brown. And I'm not saying that's the case. I don't know. That's something that only Antonio Brown knows and his accusers. So, once again, benefit of the doubt, innocent until proven guilty, and you hope, you hope that that's something that didn't transpire. But either way, at the end of the day, that I pray that it works out for everybody in a positive manner involved.
And we're, like he was saying, we're not taking sides from nobody. No,
absolutely not.
We're just going by innocent until proven guilty, and you always want to get the benefit of the doubt. And today we live in a world, in the PC words, where if you find someone guilty, you're guilty this and this and that, but when it comes innocent, people are like, oh, yeah. So we always have to get the benefit of the doubt and see where this goes. And this is big. This is a big situation, a very sensitive, touchy situation. And we'll just have to play by ear and see. And will he be put on the commissioner exempt list going forward? We don't know yet. They already conducted an investigation as of today, as we were told. So we don't know. Not we were told, but as everyone was told in the media world, that they were supposed to be conducting an investigation starting this week. And it's just this is a very sensitive subject. You can't say it's iffy, this and this and that, but it's very touchy and sensitive, and we just got to play it by ear. That's all I can say about that.
All right, that's going to do it for our first segment. Coming up on a more positive note, which 0-2 teams, once again, Carolina Panthers, Jacksonville Jaguars, the Denver Broncos, which of those teams, maybe it's all three, we'll talk about that, but which of those teams can turn their season around? We're only going into week 3, but can they still make a good enough run to make an appearance in the postseason? And then also, unfortunately, the Pittsburgh Steelers have lost quarterback Ben Roethlisberger for the rest of the season. He is undergoing Tommy John surgery. Is their season over? Can they still find a way to turn nothing into something? We'll talk about that. Stick around. Gameball NFL Endzone returns in a minute.
What's happening,
everyone? Welcome back to Gameball NFL Endzone, where the football season never ends. Now, Mike, the three teams that we're going to talk about right now: the Jacksonville Jaguars, Carolina Panthers, and the Denver Broncos. Do you see any of these teams, maybe all three, maybe one, maybe two of them, but which of these teams that are currently 0-2 can still turn the season around and make the postseason?
I say the Carolina Panthers have a better shot out of the Broncos and Jaguars. Because the Jacksonville Jaguars, they lost Nick Foles the first game of the season against the Chiefs with a shoulder injury. So that's gone. And yesterday they just wet the bed and lay an egg and that loss. I don't know what the hell is wrong with the Jacksonville Jaguars, aka Jacksonville Fraud Wires, and that's how I call them. And the Denver Broncos, it was tough. The first 2 weeks, it's been tough for them because you go on the road in Oakland, you lose that one. Then you lose a very close game on a late field goal against the Bears. Then now you got a brutal schedule going forward. And this is Nick Vanjo's former defensive coordinator of the Bears, his first year head coaching. So he's in a little bit funk and getting used to being a head coach instead of a defensive coordinator. So Carolina Panthers, my only problem with the Panthers is their offense. They've been in a funk last 2 weeks. And maybe it's because they're holding Cam hostage a little bit because of his shoulder injury. He doesn't want to take too many hits. But you got to open up the playbook more from Cam Newton to be successful in it. Take some shots down the field. And the receivers has to step up for Cam Newton because Cam can't do all it by himself.
Right.
And the last 2 games, they haven't lose by much. They've been in the game. So, and their defense has been keeping them in the game. So if the offense can be fixed, and I give the Carolina Panthers a more shot of making a run and going to the playoffs than these other two teams. So if I have to choose between the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Denver Broncos, and the Carolina Panthers, I'm rolling with the Carolina Panthers that could potentially turn their season around and make a postseason run.
I agree. I'm definitely not thinking the Jaguars. I'm just not sold on them. I still haven't been sold on them since last season. I wasn't expecting Nick Foles to necessarily just dramatically turn this team around. He's a great quarterback, no disrespect to him, but I still just was never sold on Jacksonville. The Broncos, 2 tough losses, like you mentioned. They just got beat, though, by the Oakland Raiders, which I was kind of surprised. I expected the Denver Broncos to smack the Raiders in the mouth, and that was definitely not the case. And looking at this also from the jump, I agree. I like the Carolina Panthers to still find a way to turn it around. Cam Newton is a fantastic quarterback. Obviously, he's not 100%, but we know that offense goes where he takes them. But out of these 3 teams, realistically, I think it's Carolina as well.
Well, it's just that I think they need to open the playbook more to Cam's advantage, and the receivers have to step up. Their defense is keeping them in games. It's just if the offense get flowing, then they can start getting some confidence going and winning. It's just that they could have tied the game last Thursday, but in that trick play, I didn't like that call. Yeah. That running back jet sweep, wherever you want to call it. No. Just either rub it up the gut with Cam Newton, jump it over or whatever, or throw a little slant, maybe a little screen pass, walks it in. So you got to be smart with the play calling.
All right. Now, the second topic that we're going to talk about, like we mentioned before, Ben Roethlisberger is officially out for the rest of the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is the season necessarily over, though, for Pittsburgh?
I have to say it. Rest in peace, Pittsburgh Steelers. Your season is over because we don't know what. Rest in peace, Pittsburgh Steelers. Your season is over because we don't know what Mason Rudolph is going to bring to the table. Right. I always see him as preseason games and all this other stuff, and we don't know what he can bring to the table. And that offensively, they just been struggling to score points. Mm-hmm. You scored 3 points in that annihilation blowout on week 1 against the Patriots, 33-3. Goodness gracious. But then against Seattle, you was able to score, but you didn't do enough. And defensively, where is the defense? The Pittsburgh Steelers defense gave up a first-round pick for Devin Bush. And he's a good player. He's a talented, but where has they translated so far? Maybe we put a lot of pressure on him. I don't know. It's just that the defensive coordinator is just calling odd defenses. Like, stop doing much of that zone defense and start doing, man, be creative. Do some outside the box stuff. You got talented players on the defense. Use it to your advantage. So I'm going to have to say it. Put a nail in the bag. Your season is over and you don't have a first-round pick for this upcoming draft because you traded away to the Denver Broncos. So that is a bigger blow to the Pittsburgh Steelers than anything.
I am in total agreement. When I saw that news this morning that he was done for the season, I was like, their season's over. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The thing that's interesting, though, is they were also via ESPN was also talking about he could potentially be the starting quarterback beyond 2019. I don't know if you're in agreement with that, but this is obviously a big blow. You just lost your leader. You just lost your guy in the locker room. It's almost like it's a 3-year curse for the Pittsburgh Steelers. First it was a Le'Veon Bell situation. Then you got Antonio Brown. Now you lose Ben Roethlisberger for the year. If I'm Mike Tomlin, I don't know. I'm scratching my head somewhere with a 12-pack of Coronas and crying. Like I don't know what else to do. What else? What else can you do to me though? At this point, it's like I don't know.
Maybe the football gods didn't favor them this year. I don't know. They were cursed or something. But it's a big blow. And prayers to Big Ben Roethlisberger.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, speedy recovery. And this is his first time of him being out for an entire season. So it's going to be, how's he come back mentally and physically? Because you're used to playing a lot of games, but when you get injured, especially the elbow, that is tough.
And it basically just caps off the start of the season. I don't think anybody saw your boys, the New England Patriots, stomp out the Steelers. Like, I expected that game to be a lot more competitive, even if they didn't have Le'Veon Bell. They didn't have Antonio Brown. It's the Steelers, and we know how competitive they are. They're usually in the talks of a Super Bowl contender on a yearly basis, and the way that they lost, and then to lose your quarterback and lose again, it's just that's just terrible for the Pittsburgh Steelers. With that being said, that's going to wrap up the second segment. Coming up, we're going to bring the top 4 matchups to look out for in Week 3 of the NFL season. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Gameball NFL Endzone is coming back at you. What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to Gameball NFL Endzone. Now, it is time to bring you the top 4 matchups heading into Week 3 of the NFL season, starting with the Atlanta Falcons, who are fresh off a big win, taking on the Indianapolis Colts. What do you think about this matchup, Mike?
Man, this is going to be an interesting matchup. Atlanta Falcons coming off a big win against the Eagles at home, go on the road against Indianapolis Colts. Jacoby Brissett has been playing good in the last 2 games. And shout outs to the coach for signing him to a 2-year, $30 million deal. I'm like, they knew they were doing. To me, Jacoby Brissett this is not a surprise. He was in the waiting for his turn, and he finally gets it. With the Patriots, he was groomed by Tom Brady and Bill Belichick before they traded him. Then he sat under Andrew Luck. When Luck went down, he took over for Andrew Luck. He's not a stranger to this position, but now, as a starting quarterback for the 2019 season, you're 1-1. You're at home. And so far, he's been consistent, and the defense can play a little bit better. If the defense can play a little bit better and the offense takes off, if the Colts get to the playoffs with Jacoby Brissett, ooh, y'all better watch out, because these Colts needs to be taken lightly. I ain't going to jump off the bandwagon, and I'm not going to write them off, because I did pick up to win the AFC South. So I'm still ride that bandwagon until further notice. So it's going to be how consistent can both defenses play. And can Atlanta Falcons offense have that repeat against the Colts defense?
All right. Unproven so far, semi-proven quarterback Jacoby Brissett. And once again, the Atlanta Falcons coming off a big win. That takes us to, this is possibly the game of the week for me. And that is the Baltimore Ravens heading into Arrowhead Stadium to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs, this is definitely the best test, no question about it. Lamar Jackson has been phenomenal.
And he has proved everybody wrong.
Yes, he has.
He can't throw. He should be a wide receiver running blah, blah, blah. Shut up with that mess, okay? Just shut up. He is a playmaking quarterback, and he has ball. The first 2 games of the season, oh my goodness. And Hollywood Marquise Brown, the wide receiver, ooh.
Ain't nobody to play with, boy.
And once he fully gets healthy, good night. And the running game's going with Mark Ingram. And that defense along in the secondary, led by former Seattle Seahawks safety Earl Thomas.
Yep.
Yeah, so led by that crew and all that, their defense is playing good. Well, except for last week against the Arizona Cardinals, but still, they play good. So, and this is Baltimore's chance getting back even with the Chiefs, because Baltimore did give that game away against the Chiefs on the 4th and 23, and they let Tyreek Hill go open in the middle of the field. So can Baltimore Ravens defense step up and stop the powerhouse offense of the Chiefs? Now, we all know Patrick Mahomes is not 100%, and that's the advantage to the Ravens defense, because they're going to hit you in the mouth. Now, they are a physical defense all over the place, and they create different blitzes and schemes. So let's see what the defensive coordinator of Baltimore Ravens is going to do. Now, for the Chiefs offense, can the offensive line keep Patrick Mahomes upright, because he's still not 100% with an ankle injury, and he's still limping this and this and that? Can they protect him from getting so many hits? Because we all know Baltimore Ravens ain't scared to bring the house now. They will bring the house. And the Chiefs defense, yeah, it was the Oakland Raiders, but this is Lamar Jackson. He can throw and beat you with his feet. That is a defensive coordinator's worst nightmare. How do you stop that? How do you stop a dual threat quarterback that can throw and also run? This will be a very interesting matchup going in week 3 in Arrowhead.
Now, this is going to be, for me, this is going to be the time to where, okay, all that cleaning the house, firing your previous defensive coordinator, bringing in a new one and the new defensive schemes and this, that, and the third. Now it's time for you to really put it to the test. This is where is all this going to pay off, because this is the best test. The Raiders, yes. The Jaguars, I don't know if you want to call that one a fluke when you allow a backup quarterback to score 20-some-odd points against you. But this is the best test for them right here. And this is where that defensive coordinator, Spagnuolo, is going to earn his check on this one. This is where, okay, was it really worth all this going out and signing this talent, bringing in new faces, getting rid of guys like Justin Houston? You parted ways with Eric Berry. You traded off D Ford for literally a pack of Juicy Fruit. You did all these I'm just saying, because I'm like, we also had an opportunity And it hurts me every time you say this that we really could have had Nick Bosa, and we flopped on the chance to get him. The thing is, this is an opportunity for the. I'm more not even worried about the offense of the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm more looking at the defense. This is your chance to prove yourself. Let's see what happens. This is my game of the week because this is an offensive showdown. This is going to be basically a real life version of a Madden football game. This is the way I look at this. This is a highlight reel after highlight reel game waiting to happen. I can't wait to see this one, honestly.
Me neither.
Kansas City at home against the Baltimore Ravens, and that's going to take us to the Houston Texans and the Los Angeles Chargers. Mike, break down this matchup.
Well, they're both coming out with Chargers coming off a tough loss on the road against the Lions. Of all teams, how do you lose to the Lions that tie with the Cardinals? That's not here and there. And the Texans coming off a win. They're both 1-1. So can the offensive line of the Texans gel together to protect Deshaun Watson and block the running game, because they're still gelling with all the trades going on before the season against that Chargers defense? Can the Chargers defense wake up and step up? And the offense of the Chargers was not good on the road against Detroit. You had the chance and you blew it. So you got to get Eckler going with this running game and also the screen passes as well. And Williams, you got him back. So you got to get him going, get Keenan Allen going. If they can do that offensively, they'll find a way to win this game. But I'm more concerned about the Texas offensive line because they still got a lot of time to gel, and time is not on their side really. What I'm trying to say is they didn't have a lot of time together to gel. But can they gel as the season goes? We don't know. So this will be in our matchups to see.
I agree. I think this is going to be defense on this one for me. But going on from the Texans to the Chargers, this is going to be an interesting game right here, no question about it. And that is the New Orleans Saints versus the Seattle Seahawks. We know that the New Orleans Saints are not just coming off of a tough loss, but they are literally coming off of a loss. When we talk about the fact that not only did they lose that game, but then you lose Drew Brees for the season. Not for the season, but for at least 6 weeks. And a lot of people are saying, is their chances of making the postseason over, and the expectations of them potentially going to the Super Bowl. Granted that they will get Drew Brees back at some point in time, but this is a big blow. And then against a big test like the Seattle Seahawks, if you're the New Orleans Saints, Mike, how do you prepare for life temporarily without Drew Brees and then against a big test like Russell Wilson and the Seahawks?
Well, they got a veteran quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater, so that's somewhat a plus, but he hasn't started in a long time since that devastating injury that he dealt with when he was with the Minnesota Vikings. So how they're going to prepare for him, just keep it simple. Don't put too much on his plate. Run the ball and get Alvin Kamara going in the running game and the passing game with some screens and check downs and this and that. Now, defense has been suspect for the last 2 games. Where the hell has the defense been for the Saints? Where have you? There's an APB out before you. You're missing. You need to step up. The Saints defense has been lost and found, but really lost in the first 2 games of the season. So I'm put this more on the defense. Can the defense for the Saints step up in a very hostile environment at the 12-man stadium? Now, for the Seattle Seahawks offensively, Russell Wilson had to bail them out. But I question their defense too. Can their defense step up in the Seattle Seahawks? Can they stop the run and get pressure on the quarterback? And the secondary is giving up too many plays. If the defense can get corrected and that offense is going with the Seahawks and the Russell Wilson and crew, they'll win at home.
All right, a big test moving forward for the Saints once again without quarterback Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater taking his place. That's going to take us to the predictions part of the episode, starting with the Falcons and the Colts. Who do you have?
I'm going to go with the Colts to win at home. It's going to be a close game, but I think that with the momentum going with Jacoby Brissett, if their defense can play a little bit better, they can win this game at home. So I'm going to say the score will be maybe on the lines like 23-20 Colts, and Luke has the Falcons winning.
This is tough. This is where you need a quarterback like Andrew Luck's caliber. But Jacoby Brissett has been brilliant in his absence. But I think the Falcons, they're coming off of a big win. I think that momentum shifts into Indianapolis, and I think they'll find a way to get it done. I say 27-24. It's going to come down to a late field goal. I got the Falcons over the Colts. This one, this game, I'm not going to lie. I'm a Chiefs fan, but I'm still torn because this is by far, I think this could potentially be what the Rams and the Chiefs were a year ago. I think this could be that type of game. But who do you have between the Ravens and the Chiefs?
Well, Lou has the Chiefs winning, and I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens to upset the Chiefs in Arrowhead. I just have a funny feeling Lamar Jackson is going to do something magical, a big play coming. And I just don't trust that Chiefs defense to stop an offense like Lamar Jackson and the crew. You got Hollywood Marquise Brown. You got Boykin. You got Andrews, the tight end. And you got another tight end to go along with it. And you got the running back and Mark Ingram. The Chiefs defense is still suspect. I'm not questioning their offense, but I think the Baltimore Ravens is going to play smash mouth physical football. We're going to beat you in the trenches, front and back, and we're going to wear you out, and they're going to win time of possession. Last year, the Chiefs won 27-24. I'm going to reverse it and say Baltimore wins it in Arrowhead 27-24.
Mr. Spagnuolo, this game right here is going to define the reason why they chose to hire him over all the other candidates, including Rex Ryan. This is the game right here that's going to prove his hire and it's going to prove his worth. That's the way I see it. But the thing is, for me, I mean, like I said, we can talk about the defense. The offense. To me, I think that this offense is as dangerous as they were a year ago because they have so much depth at the receiver. You bring in LaShawn McCoy, who's still trying to get his feet under him in that new offense. It's basically going to be an offense on offense. I think Lamar Jackson throws for 4 touchdowns. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to throw for, I say he at least throws for 5 touchdowns in his own right. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to find a way to get it done late. I think they'll find a way. I like this score, to be honestly. I like 35-28 at home. I think this could be potentially the game of the season. This is going to be tough. I just don't think that defense will have enough to stop Kansas City offensively. This game is really going to ride on the Chiefs defense. Can they make that one stop to get the Chiefs ahead? And once again, this is Spagnuolo. This game right here is going to define, once again, the reason why he was hired. This is where all the hype is going to come in. Not just because you have a good relationship with Andy Reid, but all the cleaning house. All the trades and moves that you did during the offseason is for games like these. And this is going to be a big test for them. But I like Kansas City 35-28. The Houston Texans and the Los Angeles Chargers, who you got?
I got the Chargers winning at home. I just don't see the Texans offensively doing enough on the road against the Chargers. And I think the Chargers have a bad taste in the mouth to losing on the road in Detroit. They let one get away from them. So I'm going to go with the Chargers winning the score 24-10 against the Texans. And Lou has the Chargers winning.
I'm riding right along with y'all with this one. It's Phillip Rivers. This is nothing new to him. It's a good test for him. I just don't like the consistency of the Houston Texans. They're not always consistent. And I just don't think – I think Deshaun Watson is going to be great, but I just don't think that they're going to do enough offensively to give him any time to really try to take over in this game. I will give them a score I'll say 27-21.
Excuse me, Luke has Houston, Texas winning. Excuse me. I just thought about that. He has to Houston, Texas winning.
I'm riding with the Chargers, though, definitely. I say 27-21.
I'm riding with the Chargers 24-10.
All right. New Orleans Saints, Teddy Bridgewater starting against Russell Wilson. Who do you like in that matchup?
I like the Seattle's at home. Seattle Seahawks at home. It's just when that crowd gets loud in that 12-man stadium, it's hard to hear. And I just don't trust the Saints defense good enough. And it's going to be tough without Drew Brees. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say 31-17 Seahawks, and Luke has the Seahawks winning as well.
Too much Russell Wilson, no Drew Brees. And it's no disrespect to Teddy Bridgewater because he's in a situation to where he has to take over probably at the worst time going into Seattle. I think he'll play fair. I'll give him 150 yards. I think he'll maybe throw for a touchdown. I like Seattle on this one. I'm going to give them a score. I'm going to say 28-14. I like the Seahawks over the Saints. And that's going to do it for this episode of Gameball NFL Endzone. Starting with social media, you can find me on Facebook, Marcus Jovel ENT Jenkins. Also, like the Jovel Entertainment page as well. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, at Jovel ENT. And for anybody in the Lawrence area or surrounding areas, I will also be performing at the Jazz House as part of the LFK Spotlight Series on October the 6th. So if you ain't got nothing to do that night, might be performing a song, maybe two, pull up.
All right, social media for me. Facebook, Gmail, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. You can follow all this on my right side. That would be your left side as well. So follow on social media outlets. Thank you for supporting with us since day one. And we can't forget our other brother, Luke, who couldn't make it with us. You can follow him on Facebook, Instagram as Luke Harnett, and on Twitter as Luke Harnett2.
I'm Marcus Young Genius Jenkins.
It's your boy, Michael Riley.
And once again, signing off from Mr. Luke Hartnett. It's Gameball Info Endzone where the football season never ends. See you next time.
Yeah.